Beginner's Guide to Audiobook Narration. Let's go. Hey there, VO warriors, and welcome back. If you've ever thought about getting into audiobooks, maybe because you like to read or you like to tell stories, well, right now is probably the best time ever to do so. Whether you're looking for a new side hustle or a full-time career, you're in the right place, because today I'm going to go over a high-level overview of how to get started recording audiobooks. Recording audiobooks is probably the easiest way to get into the voiceover industry. Demand is skyrocketing. Sales of audiobooks are going crazy, and the demand for audiobook narrators has never been higher. But getting started can feel overwhelming. So today I'm going to go over what equipment you need, how you get paid, where to find the work, and basically how to get started recording audiobooks from home. So by the end of this video, you're going to know how to get started in audiobooks even if you've never recorded your voice professionally before. First, let's talk about what audiobook recording actually is. Recording audiobooks and being an audiobook narrator is more than just reading words on the page. It's storytelling. It's you conveying the message to the listener based on what the author wrote in an engaging and entertaining way. That means pacing, tone, inflection, character voices, all of that matters. Just like regular books, there are generally two kinds of audiobook narration: fiction and nonfiction. Nonfiction is going to be things like self-help, biographies, history, business. These usually require an engaging but kind of neutral sound. You're more of a guide on these. Now, when it comes to fiction, that's more about acting. You have to separate dialogue. You might be recording multiple characters. This is when your acting chops really come into play. Here's an important point. Audiobook narration is long-form narration. So it's not a quick commercial read or a YouTube spot or a TikTok video. Longer form narration requires much more focus and much more dedication. Now, before you go out and buy a bunch of equipment, let's talk about the skills you're going to need first. Now, this may sound obvious, but reading out loud for long periods of time is a skill you have to develop. Try this. Go to your bookshelf, grab a book, open it, and try to read out loud for 15 minutes straight and see how many times you make mistakes. Next up is acting and storytelling. Now, you don't have to be a Broadway-trained actor, but you do have to know about pacing and storytelling and emphasis on emotion. All that counts. Even nonfiction books have a rhythm. Next up is character differentiation. Can you take several characters and change your tone and pace so that the listener knows that there are two people talking? Okay, the next one is a big one, and that's stamina and consistency. These aren't short scripts. So if you're narrating a 10-hour audiobook, that's about 30 to 40 hours of actual work, and you need to be prepared to go through that. You need to sound the same on page 5 as you do on page 500. The last skill you're going to need is technical skills. Can you record and edit and process your audio in a way that meets industry standards? The good news is all this stuff can be learned in practice. The best way to practice is record yourself daily. Work those muscles and get those skills under your belt. So think of your voice as your instrument, and practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the more you're going to hone your actual ability to do this. Just a quick break here to let you know that the application window for the VoiceOver Blueprint training program is now open. The VoiceOver Blueprint isn't just a bunch of prepackaged videos. It's the most comprehensive voiceover training program in the known galaxy. When you join, you'll get live instructional webinars every day covering marketing, tech, performance, casting sites, and more. Plus access to a private Facebook group where you can ask questions, get feedback, watch me work in live voiceover sessions, contests, and tons more. You'll also unlock a full library of on-demand video training modules, special discounts on demos and partner programs, and exclusive one-on-one coaching with VO experts. New members get a 30-minute onboarding call with me just to make sure you're off on the right foot. Plus, dedicated US-based member support every step of the way. Book your call now to learn more in the description and the pinned comment below. Okay, let's talk gear. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on high-end equipment to get started in audiobooks, but you do need some good quality equipment. A good entry-level microphone is the one that I started with, and that's the Audio-Technica AT2035. This one is a great microphone that won't break the bank. And by the way, try to avoid USB microphones, because when you get an XLR microphone and a good audio interface, those are going to be the best to actually get the cleanest quality sound. Okay, speaking of an audio interface, that's a piece of equipment that your microphone plugs into that then plugs into your computer, which turns the analog signal into a digital signal. A great beginner to intermediate audio interface is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Okay, next up is headphones. Make sure that the headphones you get are not Beats that are bass heavy or noise canceling. Look for good quality studio headphones, and it'll probably set you back about $100. And now your recording space. Now, once again, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on soundproofing equipment and that kind of thing. However, your recording space is very important. Even a $1,000 microphone is going to sound bad in a bad recording space. So you'd be surprised what you find around your house that you can actually use to create a well-dampened recording space. A lot of people start in the closet, and by that I mean in their actual clothing closet. You'd be surprised how well those clothes hanging in there will actually dampen the sound. Next up is your software. There's free software like Audacity, or if you want to get a little bit more bells and whistles, there's Reaper or Adobe Audition or Logic Pro. There's plenty out there to choose from. But if you want, you can just start with Audacity because it's free. And remember, when you're first starting out, the goal isn't perfection. Just good, clean audio is what you want to shoot for first. Remember, audiobook clients aren't looking for flashy production with a bunch of over-processed, compression and stuff like that. They just want good, clean-sounding, consistent audio. Okay, so now that you've got your equipment and you kind of know where you're going, how do you actually find the work? The first place is called ACX, or Audiobook Creation Exchange. This is Amazon's audiobook platform for Audible, and what this does is it pairs audiobook narrators with authors. You can create a profile, audition for the job, and if the narrator likes your voice, you get the job. There are two ways you can actually get paid, either royalty share or per finished hour. It's a great place to get credits and build your resume and experience. Next up is freelance platforms. Fiverr, Upwork, they have audiobook gigs. However, on there, the competition is pretty high, so you have to have a good profile built out before you actually land any good work. Next up is direct outreach, and that's reaching out to actual authors who don't know where to get their audiobooks published. If you can show them your demo and offer reasonable rates, they may bypass ACX and work directly with you. Small publishers are another option for you. They have authors who create books, and they hire the audiobook narrator within that publisher. As I said earlier, audiobook pay is usually per finished hour, or PFH. That means if the final book is 10 hours long and you charge $200 per finished hour, then you're going to get paid $2,000. But keep in mind, it usually takes 3 to 4 hours per finished hour, which means that's how you calculate how much actual work time it's going to take to finish a book. Now, before you start recording, you're going to need an audiobook demo. Now, unlike a commercial voiceover demo, which is usually 60 to 90 seconds, an audiobook demo can be 3, 4, even 5 minutes long, because remember, the content is much longer form. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to find several different books of different styles, maybe a fiction, a nonfiction, maybe a children's, and put them all on the same demo so that the listener will know that you have some range. Remember, your demo is your calling card. There are a lot of people who actually book their first jobs on the strength of their demo, not necessarily because they have a ton of experience. Okay, let's say you just landed your first audiobook job based on a demo or an audition. What do you do now? Here's a quick story. The very first time I started auditioning on ACX, the first day, I auditioned for 5 books and I got 3 of them. I was freaking out. Luckily, the authors and rights holders had a flexible schedule, so I was able to do all 3, but be careful what you wish for. So the first thing you want to do is prep the script. Read through the entire manuscript, mark up any crazy words or hard to pronounce words so that you can ask the author how to pronounce those. Next up is recording. Once you've figured out how to pronounce certain words, then it's time to sit down and do your recording. Here's a big tip. Take lots of breaks. Don't try to sit down and record a 10-hour audiobook in one sitting. Record a chapter, maybe even half a chapter, pause, get up, walk around. Very early on when I started doing this, I would sit down and try to push through. When I played back, I could hear the energy just sucking out of the recording because I was trying to just push through. Take lots of breaks. Okay, next up is editing and proofing. This is where you sit down and you play the recording back. You listen for things like mouth noise, any extraneous breaths, mistakes. Obviously, you want to edit out all your mistakes and leave just the good stuff. Now, when you're working through a platform like ACX, they have very strict audio requirements that you have to meet in order to produce the book. One main one is called RMS, or root mean squared, and it's basically They want you to make sure that each file that you upload is within the same volume range, because they don't want listeners to have to turn up a chapter and then down a chapter. So that has to fall within this certain range on your file. So make sure that you follow those guides. Okay, let's wrap up with some tips that'll just help you grow. First up is practice, practice, and by the way, practice. Even 15-20 minutes a day will help keep your narration sharp. Next up is take care of your voice. Stay hydrated. Don't read for too long. Take those breaks. Next up is learn to self-direct. Learn what sounds good and what sounds not so good, so that you're not having to always rely on the feedback from the rights holder or author. You can also do some networking. Join some audiobook Facebook groups or author Facebook groups or even ACX Facebook groups. Also, be patient. It takes time to learn these skills. Don't try to rush through your first audiobook. It may take weeks, but the more you do it, the easier and more efficient you're going to become. Also, keep upgrading, meaning as you start to make some money in audiobooks or regular voiceover, reinvest that money into better equipment or a better recording space. That'll help grow your business faster. Next up is set realistic goals. When I first jumped on ACX to do audiobooks, I picked books that were 3 hours or less. That way I knew I could kind of walk before I ran. So there you go, a good high-level overview of how to get started in audiobooks. We covered what audiobook narration is, the skills you need, the equipment you need, how to do a demo, and how to find the work. Here's the big takeaway. Don't wait until you feel like you're ready to actually start doing this. Start practicing today. Grab a book, start reading, and just see how you can do reading long-form narration on your own, and maybe even start recording a little bit. Audiobooks can be one of the most rewarding ways to do voiceover. Sometimes you're improving people's lives or telling stories and entertaining people. It really can be fun. Whether you want to do this as a side hustle or a full-time career, you can absolutely do this. Remember, no good voice required. Just be yourself and tell the story. If you've always wanted to get into voiceover and especially recording audiobooks, then you don't want to miss our upcoming monthly masterclass. This month, it's all about audiobooks with our special guest, top audiobook narrator Tom Parks. Tom has recorded over 800 titles, including the best-selling personal finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Tom will also be diving deep into how to grow and maintain your audiobook business, whether you're a beginner or you just want to make more money recording audiobooks. This live class is coming up on September 23, 2025 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Seats are limited to 100 attendees because we need to make sure that we answer all the questions that come up during the class. The class will also be recorded, so when you sign up, you'll always have that class that you can refer back to. If you can't make it to the live class, the replay is going to be available after the class, just not at the discounted rate. So if you want the lowest price and to be there live, click on the link in the description and pinned comment below. Oh, one last thing. Every month, I always do a drawing to win a free seat to the class, so when you enter, you're automatically entered into that drawing. See you there.